everyone! Welcome to today's lesson. Today, we're going to learn about similarity and congruence. Before we begin today's lesson, let's reflect on a verse from the Holy Quran. Allah says in Surah Al-Qamar verse 49, "Indeed, we have created everything according to a precise measure." This verse reminds us that everything Allah created has order, balance, and precise measurement. Nothing is created randomly. Everything has its own proportion and purpose. And this idea is closely related to mathematics. In geometry, we study concepts such as similarity and congruence, where we compare figures based on their shape, size, and proportion. So, let's start our lesson. Have you ever seen identical twins? A miniature version of a building? Or two pairs of shoes with the same shape? When we see this object, we often say, "Wow, they look so similar." But what does the word similar actually mean? Let's begin by looking at a few examples from our daily lives. The first example, two objects may be considered similar because they are both yellow. In the second example, two objects are considered similar because they belong to the same type, which is fish. The next, two objects can be considered similar because they have the same function, which is transportation. And finally, two objects can also be considered similar because they have the same shape. In everyday life, the word similar can have many different meanings. However, in mathematics, the word similar has a special meaning. Now, take a look at these two shoes. The first shoe is blue while the second one is pink. Although they are different in color, they have the same shape. Even if one of the shoes is enlarged, reduced, or rotated in any direction, its shape remains the same. In mathematics, when two figures have the same shape, even though their size may be different, they are called similar. And now, let's look at these two of money. If we place one money directly on top of the other, they overlap perfectly. In other words, they are identical. They have exactly the same shape and the same size, so one completely covers the other. In mathematics, two figures that have exactly the same shape and the same size are called congruent figures. And so far, we have learned the concept of similarity and congruence. And this brings us to three important questions. First, how can we make sure that two figures are truly similar? Second, when can two figures be called congruent? And third, is it possible for two figures to be both similar and congruent at the same time? Let's begin with the first question. How can we make sure that two figures are truly similar? Take a look at these two triangles. Every triangle has three angles and three sides. For two triangles to be considered similar, they must satisfy two conditions. The first condition is that all corresponding angles must be equal. In the first triangle, the angles are angle BAC, angle ABC, and angle ACB. In the second triangle, the corresponding angles are angle EDF, angle DEF, and angle DFE. So this means that angle BAC must be equal to angle EDF, angle ABC must be equal to angle DEF, and angle ACB must be equal to angle DFE. And if all corresponding angles are equal, then the first condition for similarity has been satisfied. And now, let's move on to the second condition. Besides having equal corresponding angles, the corresponding sides must also be proportional. Suppose the first triangle has sides A, B, and C, while the second triangle has sides D, E, and F. The ratio of A to D must be equal to the ratio of B to E and also equal to ratio of C to F. And therefore, two figures are similar if they satisfy these two conditions. First, their corresponding angles are equal, and second, their corresponding sides are proportional. And now, let's move on to the second condition. When can two figures be called congruent? Again, consider these two triangles. The first condition is that their corresponding angles must be equal. There is angle EAC equal angle EDF, angle ABC equal to angle DEF, and angle ACB equal to angle DFE. And the second condition is that their corresponding sides must have exactly the same length. This means that side A equals side D, side B equals side E, and side C equals side F. And therefore, two figures are congruent if, first, their corresponding angles are equal, and second, their corresponding sides have exactly the same length. And finally, let's answer the last question. Is it possible for two figures to be both similar and congruent at the same time? And the answer is yes, because every congruent figure is similar, but not every similar figure is congruent. Thank you for watching this lesson. See you in the next learning session.